and and I think faith in yourself is something that you need, because the process of writing.
Let's do this.
It's Wile E. Coyote running along a cliff and then still running, and he's fine until he stops and looks down. So as a writer, part of your job is not to stop.
I was just drawing this for hours yesterday.
Because then you will fall. It's a process of just continuing to run toward the place, but you have to know where you're running to.
Fuck it.
Very often, something that I'm going to want to know before I begin.
It's like everything's DMCA now.
Is what it's about. And I'm probably really not going to find that out until it's over, until I sit there and reread it. And I go, what was this about? But I need to have some kind of idea of what it's about going in. And that is the plot.
Myself drawing this.
If anything, I guess you could call it theme.
Oh my god, messed up already.
For me, it's just, what is this about?
At least I know
I'm going to write Neverwhere. I have an idea of people living under London, a world under London. I have this idea of a hidden London, the idea of giving London place names literal meanings. So there really will be shepherds in Shepherd's Bush. That's an idea. What's it about? What it has to be about, and this is what I thought going into it. It wasn't entirely what I discovered it had been about at the end, but it was what I went in with. It was just going, okay, I want this to be about the people who fall through the cracks. I want to write about homelessness. I want to write about the mentally ill. I want to write about the people who have fallen through the cracks in big cities and are living rough on the sidewalks, who are living as they can. And I want to do that in a way that anybody reading it is going to enjoy it. And they will come to it unconvinced and not necessarily know that that's what it's about. Because if I sat down and said, right, I'm writing a big book about homelessness, the only people who would pick it up and read it would be people interested in a book about homelessness. What I want to do here is write a book about living in a big city. I want to write an adventure. But I want to write an adventure which, when people finish reading that story...
Okay. I know nobody's listening. However, this is a practice. Public speaking and trying to get my thought across. Alright, so this kind of drawing, right? I was having trouble because, first of all, this is so stupid. I already know this basic stuff, but the vertical line is straight. Okay? The vertical lines are straight. Because this is rotated, and because of the eyebrow, well, not because of the eyebrow, but the position you're trying to, this is a position. This is the rotated cube, right? So the important thing is that the vertical lines are straight. That's what I was messing up. I was keep trying to draw it like this, which was like driving me nuts. I don't know why. I think it's because like I was like kind of leaning on the side, not drawing straight. So that was my issue number one. So this makes sense, right? If it's rotated a little bit to the side, the cube is not facing directly towards you, at you. I don't know the right word. But the vanishing point's like right here. What's 2-point perspective basically? Okay. Next. Because you're looking from a downward angle. Well, the eyes are easy. The eyes are easy. There's the eyebrow, and this is the eye. And the eyes are usually more, how do you say, they're caved in? How do I say this? Compared to the eyebrow. It's not like straight down. It's, the eyes are usually caved in like that. There's a, it looks like that. The skull is not. God damn, I suck at explaining shit. Well, point is like, it's not like right here. You get what I'm saying? Indented? Is that the right word? Well, pushed in. God damn it. It's pushed in. Like that. And there's always a shadow here because it's pushed in. So the nose, I was having trouble with the nose. I was drawing it too low like this. Which is not true. If you think about the center line, it's like right here. And there's the indent, right? Goes like this. It's not necessarily shorter in compared to like, because usually this, the forehead, and then the eye and the nose, including the eyebrow, is usually the same length, and the bottom part up to the chin is usually the same length. But obviously, because you're looking at a downward angle, the one on the bottom is going to be a little bit longer and longer. The shortest, second shortest, middle, and then the longest. Okay. But I'll get more into that later, the bottom part. So, keeping that in mind. Erase is confusing. This doesn't apply to this though. No, the general rule is I'm saying is that forehead, this, shit, this, and this, same length to make a good looking face, I guess. So the nose, how do I explain this? It's not necessarily shorter, but because the nose is usually, it goes like thin to wide, all noses look like this. It's the bridge of the nose, and then it gets wider at the bottom. And because you're looking from a downward angle, the wide part is going to cover a lot of stuff. Not a lot of stuff. What I mean is it's going to cover the bridge of your nose. So it does look short. Kind of a foreshortening going on. But considering the center line, if you go downwards, if you put it more downwards, and considering the laws of foreshortening, the nose is gonna be way. If he has got a long nose, then it makes sense. But he doesn't. So I guess a good indicator in this angle is that what I figured out is that it touches the eye on the right, this eye, and the tip of the nose and this eye usually touches. if the angle is more, how do you say? If the angle is more dramatic, like if you're looking at from the bottom way lower, well, I'll draw that later, then it literally covers the eye. Jesus Christ, man. How do I explain this in a succinct way? Oh shit. What's up, Mal? What is up? What is up? I'm just trying to practice speaking properly, 'cause I suck at speaking when I'm trying to explain drawing. And the center line. So this too. The space between here and here is a little bit shorter. It's not. It doesn't get shorter. It just gets covered, so it looks shorter. So right here is covered, so the line here is shorter, and this is a little bit shorter because the lip kind of sticks out, protrudes. So the lip's kind of covering this line too, so that's why it looks shorter. Now, like I said, this length. Well, I made the forehead a little bit longer because it's a dude. And he's losing hairline. See, it's like that. The nose is like right here, so no, it's about the same length. Same length. And over here, it's the same length. But the reason, okay, so there's an indent with the eye, and this is the cheekbone. But it starts to go down this way because when you look at it, when you look at the face, how do I say this? Usually looks like this. Fuck, how do I explain this, man? I missed the last live. Nah, it's just yesterday I was just practicing. Appreciate it though, man. Appreciate it. How do I say this? It goes like this. How do I word this? It's converges towards the chin. And remember, the chin's here. It's not here. This is the fat underneath your neck. And this is the jawline. The jawline looks like that because God damn, if I want to explain this, I gotta draw this. How do I explain this, dude? Well, it's at an angle. The jaw is like, it looks like this from the side. And from looking at underneath is a V. The jawline is a V. It's a weird looking ass. What looks like this? It's a V that goes downwards. I guess you could just say it's a tilted triangle. How do I explain this? Alright, so whatever. Here's a cheekbone. And then from cheekbone all the way down to your chin, if it's a clay, you push it in. Jesus Christ. That's why it goes downwards like this. If it's a fat cheek, then obviously it's gonna look like this, like a kid, or. But we're not drawing a kid right now. But if you understand this, then you could mess around with it. Like, oh, I'm gonna draw someone fat, then you could draw a fat cheek like that. But the goal is to know why it goes downwards. Why it goes like this, 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 this. Forehead. Because forehead's not straight. Like I said, the vertical lines are straight. However, the forehead's not. Some people foreheads are vertical though. This all depends. Forehead's kind of. It depends on how you want to draw it. So it's like this. So today I had to use Windows Movie Maker 6.0 to make a video because Clipchamp wouldn't work. Huh. Maybe I should try Windows Movie Maker. Is it free? I use CapCut. Oh my god, I gotta. Don't even remind me, man. I'm paying for that thing too. Jesus Christ. It was like this, and because the eye socket it goes inwards. It goes inwards like this. And after the eye socket goes inwards, the cheekbone kind of sticks out. And it's like that. It doesn't go more or less. Just imagine an imaginary circle. No, not a circle, but it connects like that. And after the cheekbone, like I said, it goes downwards because, yeah. So this is what you gotta know. This is important. It goes like that. And it doesn't stop there. Because the chin's like right here, right? But because of the angle, because what you're drawing here is basically here, because it connects the jawline right here. Jesus Christ, how do I explain this intelligently? So the chin's actually here, you know? Like the typical chin that we all think about. Because we're looking at from a downward angle from underneath, you're gonna see a little bit underneath his jaw, which is this section right here. And because this is a triangle, it's gonna go like this, slightly like that, connects like this. Amigo, colega? I hope I'm saying that right. Colega? What's colega? I hope you're not making fun of me. Animo. Not amigo. Animo. Hello, Charlie. I hope you're not making fun of me. Windows Maker was discontinued in like 2017. Also, that one was old school. 2017. 2007, man. That's the way to do it. I don't know how to explain this. It's so tough to explain. This was kicking my ass. to draw it without sketching it too much. So if you want to do it again like that, just draw the eyebrow right here. Side right there. Dentist, center lines like this, like that. Depends on how the nose looks. Because the eye goes right here. Not too long. My issue was drawing the eyes way too long. Around like this. The lips. You don't have to draw the lips, draw the mouth first. Just align it with the center with the nostril. And a little bit of dip. 1, 2, 3, like that. Like that. Like that. Like that. So I'm trying to draw like a girl for this one. Nose is a little bit fat for a girl. No. There's no such thing as fat nose for a girl. It doesn't even make sense. Like that. Like that. Like that. Stop there. The chin is here. This is not the chin. This is the jawline. And because it's like this, what helps is to draw the eye first, like that, and then, the ear. The ear should be around here. And then this helps. See, I almost messed up. If I drew it like that, then jaw would have been too big. Because the mouth is right here, the jaw ends right here, and it goes like that. The neck, right there, and then here's the chin would be around here. This is the fat. Usually like that, like that. Remember, neck goes like this because it's vertical. Well, next should be more like this, but whatever. Depends on how you want to position the neck. But yeah, necks are not super vertical. It should be like that more. Alright, so here's the forehead. Goes up to around here. The hairline goes down right here. Not all the way down, but a little bit. Depends on the people. 1, 2. And then the sideburn. That. And you're gonna finish the rest of the head. Like that. Like that. There you have it. This was kicking my ass yesterday. Okay. Looks different, but not too bad. Not too bad. This. And the important note is to not draw from memory. If that makes sense. You have to you have to draw, how do I say this? you have to match as you go. So you have to be like in the moment, they say, right? You can't draw in a way where, oh, you have to do this and then do that and do this. You have to kind of like improvise. That's why I want to call my drawing classes improv drawing. That's the way to do it. That's why, although these does not look like each other, they're not all that bad. They don't look too bad. The jawline will be like right here. This is the fat underneath the neck. Next thing I was having trouble with is drawing a heel. If you saw this on my other stream, I was going nuts trying to draw this. Because heels are the hardest thing to draw. And I got to the point where I could draw them easily now. Center lines here. That. Now this looks weird, but if you just do this, it doesn't look weird. Now if you do this, there you have it. This was hard because without drawing this part, it just looks weird. Like if you draw it like this, something looks off. And I was going crazy, why? But that looks normal, you know. Yeah, this angle, this is like such a hard thing to draw. Alright, what else did I have trouble drawing? Oh yeah, the hand. For some reason, I was having trouble drawing. Alright, messed up already, but whatever. We'll do it live. Now I know how to draw. I drew this multiple times, so see, it's same problem. Drawing the fingers way too fat. Now this length and the finger length should be equal. That. Like that. And the pinky like that. Like that. The knuckles like this. Like that. Like that. Like that. Alright, I already messed up on the thumb. I just fixed it. Improvised. Doesn't look that bad. Like that, like that. Like that. I was having trouble drawing this. Hello. I Fickle CEO. hope I'm saying it right. What is up? Like that. Like that. It's not so hard anymore. That looks oddly weird. There you go. No, that looks better. Like that. For some reason I was having trouble drawing this. This lady, I don't, why are you slamming the door like that? Just like this should be longer. I'm drawing it too quickly. The point is to have like a circle like this. That is the point. That's how you draw it. What else? What else? I was having trouble drawing a fist like this. Like that. This is the knuckle. That. This is the thumb. Like that. Like that. So like this. Oh, messed up already. It's okay. We'll figure it out. Like that. And like that. Now it goes like this. Goes like that. The fist goes like this. Now I was having trouble because I didn't know where to put the thumb. The thumb is usually in the middle finger. It ends at the middle finger. And it ends in the middle of the pointing finger. Like that. Like that. This is the knuckle for the thumb. And you don't have to draw this too accurately. Pinky and then the ring finger. And there's like the muscle and the fat here. And hold on, let me just finish drawing this. It goes like that. Like that. It's bending, so it's like right here. And there's a lot of shadows. We'll fill that in later. Here's the muscle here, right? And it's just slightly, it's showing slightly like this. Will this even show? I mean, it can. Now you have a choice. You could bend it like that or straight. Let's draw it straight. Just know that it will look more like this. Whatever. Just sketching, so. Yo, what is up? Josh, Finn, what is up? I am just teaching myself all the things I can't draw or I used to have trouble drawing. There you go. I had trouble drawing this before, now I don't. That's another one. Done. What else? What else did I have trouble drawing? What kind of pen are you using? This is the Wacom Stylus I think mine's the Wacom 16. Using Photoshop regular brush, just like the regular brush. Do you have like a pen tablet? Drawing tablet? Not pen tablet, drawing tablet. What else did I have trouble drawing? What else? I have trouble drawing. The back muscle, right? The back muscle used to bother me a lot. So, well, I drew this yesterday, but it's like this, right? This is the center line. The shoulder muscle is covered by the trapezius muscle, right? Goes like this, and this trapezius, I messed up already, but it goes all the way down to your rib cage, which the rib cage is around here. So all the way down. And although this is one muscle, it's broken down like this. That. A little bit of a diamond right here, and here I gotta draw this first. So right here, there's this scapula bone, like a triangle, a right triangle. But there's a shit ton of muscle that connects it. So it's like that, and like that. This is infraspinatus. This is a small one, I don't know. And this is the teres major. And right there from this, it kind of connects. I mean, not connects, but the line continues here. And there's like a little diamond here. It's another muscle. And it goes like this. It looks like that. So this protrudes, this sticks out like that, this sticks out like that. This is I don't know what this is called, but it goes down to your ass crack. Your ass is right here. Same thing like this, like that, just measure like that. The shoulder muscle. Yeah, and then over here, although this one muscle, it kind of sticks out like that. And there's another muscle right here. And this is the goddamn pelvis. Alright, so I got that down. The arm's pretty easy, right? It's the ribs right here. This tricep is smaller than this tricep. And the elbow right here. And the forearm also connects right there between the triceps. It's the biceps a little bit here. So that. Yeah, man. I wish I had Apple Pencil, but basically style is getting me by. iPad. I want that. iPad's cool. I don't have iPad. A lot of people use the iPad Apple Pencil. I heard it's really good. But you gotta try this and that to see which one you like. Some people like this. Some people like the Galaxy or something. Some people like whatever. I only know this. Wacom, so whatever. Doesn't matter though. I remember you saying that you like my requests because they are different. Yes, I do like your request. Your requests are very unique, and I like uniqueness. What else did I not understand. Oh, I couldn't draw. What couldn't I draw? Oh, yeah. The shoes like this. Jesus Christ, that's what's bothering me. From this angle. It's not that hard anymore, so it's like, it's not really a big deal for me. Oh! Messing up already. Yeah, I messed up already. Do you find it easy to break down body parts by individual muscles? Well, yes. You have to know all the body parts. I mean, individual muscle. I mean, it depends on how you want to draw, right? It's like, if you want to do like those anime style, you don't really gotta know all of them. But I'm just personally I wanna know, and I just memorize all of them. But if you know how everything looks and if you memorize it, it all like fits like Lego. So it's like it's really easy to imagine. If you're stuck, you could problem solve it. Let's say you're just drawing and then you're just like, oh, how does this look? Then you think about, okay, so this muscle goes here, this muscle goes here, and then like you could problem solve it. That's why it's important to know. If you just draw the same thing over and over, like, you know, if you know how to draw a certain angle something, then you just do the same thing and then you're not gonna really improve. But you gotta know how to problem solve. I think that's why you gotta know all the muscles. Problem solving. So I'm just trying to review right now by myself if I really do understand everything that I used to not understand. So I couldn't draw this, now I could draw that. What else did I have trouble with? I didn't know how to draw a pelvis. I still can't really, I don't really know how it looks. It's like the pelvis is like the weirdest looking thing. Okay, I already messed up right there. So it's like this. And then it sticks out right here. It's like this. It sticks out. It's like that. It's like that, and then it's like that. And then the tailbone, center line right here. This is the front part. Pelvis is still, I don't really know how it looks exactly. But I just know the general outer shape of it. Jesus Christ, what am I doing? You don't really need to know the pelvis, really. This is, it looks like that. This is the shit. Messing up already. Messing up. This goes inwards. Wait, how does it look like? Yeah, it's inwards. It's like this. I think since I only started drawing like a week ago, I just have to put some hours under my belt. I mean, you know, if you're like, it depends on the person. If you're really, you could be depends on the person. Maybe you could get it really quickly. Maybe you can't, and you need a little bit more practice and studying. It's more about studying, though. It's like that, and then the bone goes like this. It's not really about actually drawing. And Mao, I guess is like what you suggest is some romance, kind of romance thing. With the Captain Underpants dog and Saruman. I think that's what you were asking, right? And the balls right here. I crack myself up. How does this look again? It's like, is this in the front or the back? Jesus Christ, I think it's in the back. It's in the back, dude. So this is, because the leg here for the, yeah, no wonder I was having trouble drawing it stupidly. Look at that. It's not, this is not right at all. Well, I gotta study. I just know that it goes right in the front-ish right here. And I know there's the things like, this is a safe spot to draw it. It's hard drawing at this angle, bro. You don't gotta. The important part is that this is the important part. It's basically a cube, not a cube, but a rectangle. And this is important because this is the one that you see. And there's a little bit of, it sticks out right here. And it goes, sticks out right here. And this is like the bone right above your whatever. Let's keep this in. It's funny. Alright. So I need to work on the pelvis. You don't get a prize for memorizing it, but I'll just, memorize it. Later. It kind of does. At this angle, it really does. I just kind of drew it in a really shitty way. So if you look at it in the front, it's better to just think like this. I always get this confused right here. I don't know why. It's in the front area. This isn't the bottom, dude. This is like your ass cheek. So it's like it's really in the bottom. But this is where your thigh bone is like. Your thigh bone's like right here. And this is again the genitals right here. And this is all your organs right here. Your like bladder and shit. So it's like that. Now it looks like a woman though, but because the women hips are larger, so yeah, this is a woman, so you gotta put a JJ like that. No, this is it's too much. Yeah. I'll pelvis, drawing a pelvis. I gotta memorize it. I'll study it. But you don't have to know exactly how it looks like. What else did I have trouble drawing? Oh, the back of the foot. I remember a long time ago. I just couldn't draw this. I don't know why I couldn't draw this. It's so easy now. Yeah, this one. That's funny. Why couldn't I draw this? I don't know how to draw that. Just heels is a hard thing. I just have trouble drawing heels because like I don't know how it looks like. Center lines right here. The heels should be like right here. Right here. Like that. Couldn't draw this for some reason. What do you mean? For some reason, it's because you're dumb. Yep. Do it like that. From the back side. Makes sense. I'm sloppy. Alright, so I didn't know how to draw that. How do you account for the space between bones and skin, like when there's fat and organs in the way? How do you account for the space between bone and skin? Bone and skin is bone and then muscle and then fat. It's I don't really understand that question too much. So, like a torso, right? The rib right here, chest muscle right here, clavicle, so six pack, all the way down. And then you're gonna draw a skin. Organs in the way. Or you don't gotta worry about organs. Just gotta. But if this person was fat, just add more volume. Like that. Because fat's on top of the muscle. If that makes sense. I'm trying to get better at explaining drawing because it's hard to explain this thing, you know. And I see like other people doing it, they're not really explaining. They're just saying shit, you know. They're not really explaining it in a succinct way. I'm just trying to find the most efficient way to explain it. How does the skin sit on top of the muscle? You don't have to worry too much about skin. Like, just think that they have. Just draw the muscle, but don't draw all the lines. Like, you see how the back muscles here? Like, just erase all these lines. Except for, like, the important ones. Like, yeah, and then it's like, then you have a skin. Like that. And usually, this muscle kind of shows. Just a little. I guess how much does skin? You don't have to, like, try not to think like that. Like, how much is this on top of this? You gotta think as a whole. Just get the shapes right. The most important thing is these outer lines. The muscle thing comes way later. See this outer lines? That's the most important. Like, when you're drawing, you're not thinking like bone. Well, yeah, you don't have to be too crazy like that. Like bone and then muscle and then skin. You just gotta draw the shapes correctly, the outer shapes. The outline and the proportions are more. Yeah. There you go. You got it. Proportions are very important. A lot of people get this wrong. And I pride myself of having good proportions, but still working on it. But a lot of people, proportion is good, but a lot of people, if you watch even like the so-called pros draw, they always get, like, they make this hand bigger than this hand. A lot of the time, or this arm shorter than this arm. They make that issue, like, a lot of people make this issue. And even though you can't pinpoint it, like, your eye, because you're so used to, like, knowing how people look like, because, you know, you see people every day, and that's, like, you're subconsciously, you pick up on it, and then you're like, what, this drawing doesn't look right. And it's usually because, like, they're drawing one arm shorter than the other. Proportion is important, but I think like the symmetrical, like harmony is more important. I mean, equally as important. 'Cause you could get the proportions right on one side, but if the other side's all messed up, it just looks off, no matter how good one side looks. So, yeah, I always think about the center line. That always helps in everything you draw. You gotta think about the center line. And then just try to even it out always. See, I say that elbow is like, see already, well, I mean, it should be like this. It's not really, because the shoulder level's like this. Ah, shit. I always try to think out, then in. Out, in, which means think about, like, first draw the silhouette. This is how you practice. But this is how I kind of draw anyways. Because I practice like this so much, which is, see, out, the outer shape first, and then in. And then you just figure out the center line, which is right here. And then you fill it in. Out, in, out, in. And the hands, especially the hands, out and then in. If you try to draw individual fingers initially, it's just gonna look weird. Out and then in. That makes sense. Every time I look back at my drawing, it looks uneven. Like one thing is bigger than the other. It's like a, you just gotta always just keep in mind. That's just it. Just always think about the center line. Always think about the center line. It's hard though. But if you could, simple drawings that has that down is better than complex realistic drawing that does not have that down. If that makes sense. Like you could draw it like cartoonishly. Like that, you know. Like cartoonish drawing with the right proportions and like even parts. Even parts. Just harmony. Just it has to be even. Like this arm. It's like that, but this if this arm is like this long, it looks weird. Like, it doesn't matter how well you draw. It's just let's see. It just looks freaking weird. I had to get to sleep. Have a good night. Yeah, you too, man. Thank you. Thank you for joining. La 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 la. Always fun talking to people and giving advice that helped me. Alright, what do I have issue with? What else? This is bothering me, dude. See? I just gave a lecture on evenness and I can't even draw this. What is this? Merge layer. Just not even taking your own advice. It's like that. Yeah, that makes sense better. This looks better. See how that just changes everything? Jesus. Oh no, now you're making it even worse. Jesus Christ. Just fucking up. Just fucking up. Just fucking up. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense.
They're going to look at the homeless. They're going to look at the people sleeping
What else couldn't I
in
draw?
the shop doorways. They're going to look at these people and they aren't going to pretend they're invisible. Because, and that for me suddenly crystallized the metaphor. I mean, for me, so much fantasy is about making a metaphor concrete. What it's about for me is the way that we treat the homeless as invisible and treat them as non-persons. Good. Then they are going to essentially be invisible. They're going to be non-persons. How do I build up from that? And I have my hero Richard Mayhew, and he encounters a girl from London below, from this other London that exists beneath and all around London. He helps her, he saves her, and in so doing, he becomes part of London below and discovers that people can no longer see him. He goes into his office. They don't know who he is. ATMs no longer give him money. Taxis won't stop for him. He has become an invisible unperson. And now he needs to go into London below, and the plot needs to happen. So a lot of what I'm doing is going, okay, I have an idea. The idea is this kind of London above, London below thing. So what's it about? Then carries me a lot further into it. What am I trying to say? What am I trying to tell here? There is an old line that, if you want a message, you use Western Union, and that may be true, but really, if you're writing something, you have to have something you want to say. It has to be about something, and it has to be about something for you. I'm not saying everything needs a giant social message, but I am saying you need to know what your story is about.
Oh, DMCA!
Young writers, because young writers are peaceable souls, because young writers want to live in a happy place, because young writers have had enough conflict in their lives already, tend to shy away from conflict. And you will read short stories by them, and you'll go, but that's the place
Alright.
where your
That makes
two
sense.
characters are meant to
Got that
balance and meant to collide. This is where the plot is meant to get tough. This is where things are meant to get difficult for people, but they'll avoid it. And making young writers face conflict, making them write conflict, making them realize that there are so many different ways you can solve problems of conflict, but you have to have the conflict first. You can attack something head on, you can go around it, you can attack it surreptitiously, you can deal with it with strength, you can deal with it with intelligence, you can go into it and you can fail.
This is
You can go
bothering me,
into
man.
it and you can succeed. You can go into it and neither succeed nor fail, but create an outcome
I'll
that
memorize
was
it.
completely
It's not
unexpected.
important though. It's not
And
important.
sends everything off into a whole new direction. You can succeed, but in succeeding,
Alright,
make
what
things
else?
worse.
What else?
There's all of these things that you can do in conflict, but you have to allow the conflict to happen. And that is so much of what a plot is.
Oh, DMCA!
If you're building a story, you have a whole bunch of building blocks. You have the words and the
Yes,
language.
the words.
It's going to be a huge part. Just the voice of the story. What does it sound like? What is your narrative voice? What do your characters sound like? That's huge. The next is the characters.
What else? What else?
Who are they? What do they do? What do they want? I'm going to harp on a lot about what characters want. I'm going to harp on about what characters want because
Like 10
over
years
and
ago,
over
I
again,
couldn't draw
you'll find
this.
when you're plotting, when you're putting something together, it's the only question that opens the door to what do you do next. If you get stuck, you can ask yourself what your characters want. And that is like a flashlight. It shines a light on the road ahead and lets you move forward. Somebody once asked me, they said, I keep coming up with great characters. And great characters, and I know who they are, and I know what they're doing, but I can't make a plot happen. And I said, great, in which case, just have two of your best characters and have them figure out what they want. And have them want things that are mutually exclusive. And then set them off on their quest. And you know that only one of them can have the thing, whatever the thing that they want is. If they succeed, the other one fails and vice versa. And now let's get them going. That's got to give you conflict. It's got to give you a plot. And sometimes the what does a character want will surprise you. You know, it's not just they want the money. They want the boy. A lot of the time it's they want to learn. They want to grow up. They want to save their friend. They need, and so it's, what do you want? What do you need? And
What do
that,
you want?
as a driver,
What the hell do
is
you
always
want?
one stage below the mechanics of plotting. And it will save your ass over and over as a writer if you take that as an important thing. And remember
Oh, really?
that characters always, for good or for evil, get what they need. They do not get what they want.
That's a good point. Couldn't draw this. Now I could draw that.
So what characters want and what characters need always drive every story. And they always drive how the character behaves, what's going to happen, how they interact with other characters. Here's the Graveyard book. I haven't talked about it before, so I just grabbed it. And we begin with, there was a hand in the darkness and it held a knife. The knife had a handle
That's
of
about
polished
it.
black bone
I
and
think
a
I know how to
blade
draw.
finer and sharper than any razor. If it sliced you, you might not even know you'd been cut, not immediately. The knife had done almost everything it was brought to that house to do, and both the blade
Yeah.
and the handle were wet.
Oh
And
yeah.
we know
Well, I didn't
very
have trouble
quickly
drawing this,
we are
but
dealing with a man called the Man Jack, who is walking around this house with a knife. The hunt was almost over. He'd left the woman in her bed, the man on the bedroom floor, the older child in her brightly colored bedroom surrounded by toys and half-finished models, had only left the little one, a baby, barely a toddler, to take care of. One more, and his task would be done. And now we know exactly what the Man Jack has done. He's killed a family, and what he wants, which is to kill the baby. The problem is,
Jesus, kill a
the baby
baby.
isn't going to be there. Because when we meet the baby, what the baby wants is to get out of his crib. Ever since the child had learned to walk, he'd been his mother and father's despair and delight. For there never was such a boy for wandering, for climbing up things, for getting into and out of things. That night he'd been woken by the sound of something on the floor beneath him falling with a crash. Awake, he soon became bored and had begun looking for a way out of his crib. It had high
Necessarily
signs
was
like
it?
the walls of his playpen
Well,
downstairs.
it's not
But
this.
he was convinced that he could
What
scale
was I
it.
trying to draw?
All he needed was a step, and the baby gets out of the crib. The baby wants to get out. The baby is not trying to escape. The baby's just heads off, bumping down the stairs on his bottom. Heads out of the open door that the Man Jack had left open when he crept into the house. The baby heads up the hill. And then we meet some other characters in the graveyard. Owens, called
I
the
really
pale
had
woman in a
trouble
voice
drawing
that might have been
this.
the rustle of the wind through the long grass. Owens, come and look at this. She crouched down and peered at something on the ground as a patch of shadow moved into the moonlight, revealing itself to be a grizzled man in his mid-40s. He looked down at his wife and then looked at what she was looking at, and he scratched his head.
This doesn't count.
Mistress Owens, he said, for he came from a more formal age than our own. Is that what I think it is?
Oh, what else? What
At
else
that
did I
moment, the
have
thing
trouble
he was
drawing?
inspecting seemed to catch sight of Mrs. Owens, for it opened its mouth, letting the rubber nipple it was sucking fall to the ground, and it reached out a small, chubby fist, as if it were trying for all the world to hold on to Mrs. Owens' pale finger. Strike me silly, said Mr. Owens, if that isn't a baby. Of course it's a baby, said his wife. And the question is, what is to be done with it? I dare say that is a question, Mistress Owens, said her husband, and yet it is not our question, for this here baby is unquestionably alive, and as such is nothing to do with us, and is no part of our world. Look at him smile, said Mrs. Owens. And now we have two ghosts in a graveyard and a baby. And we know that one of them wants to get involved and one of them doesn't. And then the Man Jack turns up, and the Owens family hesitate. They're about to leave the baby when they see a ghost, which is pretty unusual. I mean, it's not that unusual given that they are in fact ghosts and live in a graveyard amongst ghosts. But there was a difference between the folk of the graveyard and this, a raw, flickering, startling shape, the grey colour of television static, all panic and naked emotion, which flooded the Owenses as if it were their own. Three figures, two large, one smaller, but only one of them was in focus, was more than an outline or a shimmer, and the figure said, "My baby, he is trying to harm my baby." A clattering. The man outside was hauling a heavy metal garbage can across the alley to the high brick wall. that ran around that part of the graveyard. Protect my son, said the ghost, and Mrs. Owens thought it was a woman, of course, the babe's mother. So now, again, what do people want? Well, his dead mother wants her son to be protected.
Right, it's not that
Mrs.
hard
Owens
anymore.
wants to protect. The man Jack wants to kill. The baby is perfectly happy right now. We also know that the baby needs to be looked after, even if it doesn't know that it wants to be looked after. And now we get to follow what happens. We get to follow as a mysterious stranger named Silas appears and deals with the stranger, seems to wipe his mind of what's happened in the graveyard and sends him off again. And we follow Mistress Owens and the baby as there is a convocation of the dead. All of the dead in the graveyard get together and debate what should be done with the baby. We know what Mistress Owens wants. She wants the baby. We know what the people in the graveyard want. They want not to have to deal with a live baby. You're in a graveyard. Why would you want that? And then two things happen. One of which is death herself appears. The lady on the grey, riding her pale horse, arrives and she just says to them the dead should have charity. And the other is that Silas, the mysterious stranger, who
Not hard.
appears to be neither living nor dead,
Just ease up on the chin.
says that he will be the child's guardian. He will bring it food from the world of the living, and he will help look after
I
it.
try to make the
And
nostrils smaller.
we end
If
the
I were to
first
make it
chapter
bigger,
of the
doesn't look
graveyard.
that bad.
And it's all being driven by wants. It's all being driven by needs. A child has been adopted by the inhabitants of a graveyard. And now what we want to know is, okay, well, what's going to happen? Who is this child? What's he going to be when he grows up? And now we have our beginning. But everything is driven by want. Everything is driven by need. And everything is driven by characters wanting different things. And those different things colliding. And every moment that one character wants something and another one character wants
That's
something
good.
mutually exclusive, and they collide. Every time that happens, you have a story.
Want and need. That's what he was talking about.
A good short story is a magic trick. It's close-up magic. It's not a giant grand illusion where 5 people go into a box and the box is hauled up and then there are fireworks and then they're gone. It's that thing
Oh,
where
yeah, I
somebody
had
shows
trouble
you that
drawing
their hands
this.
are empty and then they cover it. And then when they reveal it again, there's a rose there.
I already messed up
You go, how
already.
did they
Then.
do that? Was the rose always there? The rose must have been there. I once wrote a book of short stories for children. I'm just going to read you my very short introduction. When I was young,
It's already
and it
messed up.
doesn't really seem that long
Really messed
ago,
up.
I loved books of short stories. Short stories could be read from start to finish in the kinds of times I had available for reading, morning break, or after lunch nap, or on trains. They'd set up, they'd roll, and they'd take you to a new world and deliver you safely back to school or back home in half an hour or so. Stories you read when you're the right age never quite leave you. You may forget who wrote them, or what the story was called. Sometimes you'll forget precisely what happened, but if a story touches you, it will stay with you, haunting the places in your mind that you rarely ever visit. Horror stays with you hardest. If it brings a real chill to the back of your neck, if once the story is done, you find yourself closing the book slowly for fear of disturbing something and creeping away, then it's there for the rest of time. There was a story I read when I was 9 that ended with a room covered with snails. I think they were probably man-eating snails. and they were crawling slowly towards someone to eat him. I get the same creeps remembering it now that I did when I read it. Fantasy gets into your bones. There's a curve in a road I sometimes pass, a view of a village on rolling green hills, and behind it huger, craggier, greyer hills, and in the distance mountains and mist that I cannot see without remembering reading The Lord of the Rings. The book is somewhere inside me, and that view brings it to the surface.
I mean,
And science fiction takes you
I'm
across
trying
the
to
stars
save it.
and into other times and
I
minds.
messed up, but I'm
There's
trying to
nothing like
save
spending
it.
some time inside an alien head to remind us how little divides us, person from person. Short stories are tiny windows into other worlds and other minds and other dreams. They're journeys you can make to the
It's
far
the
side
fingers,
of the universe
man.
and
It's
still be back
like-
in time for dinner. I've been writing short stories for almost a quarter of a century now. In the beginning, they were a great way to begin to learn my craft as a writer. The hardest thing to do as a young writer is to finish something. And
Writer.
that was what I was learning how to do.
Writer.
These days, most of the things I write are long comics or long books or long films.
Long books.
And a short story, something that's finished and over in a weekend or a week, is pure fun. My favorite short story writers as a boy are many of them my favorite short story writers now. People like Saki or Harlan Ellison, like John Collier or Shirley Jackson or Ray Bradbury, close-up conjurers who with just
Dude.
26 letters and a handful of punctuation marks
Alright.
could make you laugh
I know how to draw this,
and
but
break your heart,
I
all in a
fucked it up.
handful of pages. There's another good thing about a book of short stories. You don't have to like them all.
It's not even what
If
I'm
there's one
trying
you
to
don't
draw.
enjoy, well, there'll be another one along soon. And I named the book
Best way to draw it is like that.
after a Ray Bradbury book. When I was a boy, Ray Bradbury picked stories from his books of short stories he thought younger readers might like, and he published
Outer.
them as R is for rocket and S is for space. Now I was doing the same sort of thing, and I asked Ray if he'd mind if I called this book M is for magic. He didn't. M
And
is for
then
magic.
in. Out
All
and
the
then
letters
in.
are, if you put them together properly. You can make magic with them and dreams, and I hope even a few surprises.
DMCA.
One of my favorite short story writers is the late Roger Zelazny. I encountered Zelazny's short stories first
See,
as
this is the issue because
9-year-old and
you're not
10-year-old.
understanding the
and I
the
loved
thickness
them.
of the
I loved
finger
his
in this
books, I loved
case.
his stories. I loved his characters, these angst-ridden people, or super competent people,
What's the best
or
way to
just
draw
people
this?
in situations that had them
Always mess up.
at the
See,
end of their
right
tether.
here, you
I
already
loved his
messed up.
use of language. He could really deploy words beautifully. Zelazny was a poet, and he wrote his fiction, and he wrote a short story writing. Like a poet, with a poet's
So
eye
let's draw it
and the ear for the
simply.
precision of the
Like
right
that?
word in the right place.
Like that.
And I didn't get to meet Roger until I was in my late
Roger.
20s writing Sandman. And we didn't really get to talk until I was 30. And I was at the World Fantasy Convention in Tucson, Arizona, and I ran into Roger and sat down with him and said,
Okay.
Roger, you talk to me about writing short stories.
It's not bad.
'Cause
This is
You
not
do it
bad.
better than anyone I know. And just tell me about writing short stories. And he stopped for a bit and he thought.
There you go.
And then he said, you know, really? He said, all my best short stories are the last chapter of a novel I didn't write.
What's
And
that
I
even
loved
mean?
that.
What's that
I
even
really took
mean?
that to heart.
Last chapter that I
Because
didn't.
when you're writing short fiction,
Yeah.
what you want, whether it's true or not,
Yeah.
is to feel like these characters didn't just start to exist the moment the story began.
True.
You want to know they've all been in existence all along.
Yeah.
You want to know that things have happened to them, things have taken them to this point.
Yeah.
And now we are at the point of heightened emotion. We're at the point where the plot is actually kicking in.
Yeah.
This is the thing you've been waiting all of that time for.
Yeah.
This is the denouement. This is the unraveling time.
It's not
This is
bad.
the time when we're all going to understand everything. And it's the last chapter. It's the final chunk of a novel that you haven't had to write. And I always thought that was such a wonderful way in
I get it.
to short story writing. And also, because I am fundamentally lazy,
Me too.
it's a lovely sort of headway into a short story. You go, well, look, if I write this short story, there's 130,000 words
Doesn't
I
look
don't
bad.
have to write.
Doesn't look too
I can
bad.
just write this, 8,000
like-
words.
Went too crazy
And-
right here.
That puts it all into place. So I like doing that too.
Alright. I gotta figure out a
Fun
better
things
way
to
to
do
draw this.
When you're a young writer and you are just writing a short story, and frankly, any writer writing a short story, the first
It's
place
like-
that I start is just with the
Oh, like
idea
this.
that
This is
instead
the
of being
hand.
paid by the word,
No, like this.
I am paying by the word. That the fewer words I
It's
can
like
use
that, right?
to tell my story, the better. That compression, that economy,
Okay. I
all of
understand
these
it.
things are good. You know, I've written stories as short as 100 words. In fact, technically, I've written one exactly 100-word short story called Nicholas Was. Let's see, do we have a smoke and mirrors here? Nicholas was older than sin, and his beard could grow no whiter. He wanted to die. The dwarfish natives of the Arctic caverns
Well,
did not
this is
speak
not
his
hard. This
language,
one's not
but
hard.
conversed in their own twittering tongue, conducted incomprehensible rituals when they were not actually working.
Actually, I know how to
The
draw
factories.
this.
Once every year they forced him, sobbing and protesting, into endless night. During the journey, he would stand near every child in the world, leave one of the dwarves' invisible gifts by its bedside. The children slept, frozen into time.
I know how to draw this.
He envied Prometheus
not that hard.
and Loki, Sisyphus, and Judas. His punishment was harsher. Poe.
What I'm trying to draw is more forward facing, right?
It's a very, very short story. But I learned things from it. I learned about compression. I learned how to make the penny drop. Part of the fun of that story is where in the story do you figure that Nicholas was Santa Claus? Where do you figure, where do you learn that this is the punishment of Father Christmas? And so it's just a small thing. The glory of a short story, too, is just one thing has to happen. In novels, lots of things happen. A novel has to be about lots and lots of different things. A short story really only has to be about one thing. You can say that one thing. Then you can stop, get on to something else. Short fiction is a fantastic place to learn your craft as a writer. A lot of writers, when they think that they want to set out and sail their first craft out onto the seas of story, immediately get the idea that you should go huge.
Not bad.
You
Not
should
bad.
write a series of 10 books and have a huge mega plot, and you should have a cast of thousands and all of these things. And there's a lot of skills that you need to do that and to do it successfully. Even those writers who have done that have tended to have to learn their craft as they go. book by book, in progression. What's lovely
Not bad.
is
Not
taking
bad.
short journeys, is taking your boat out and just going round the headland and coming back in time for tea.
Yeah, that's
Learning
what I was having trouble with.
Skills. So, a short story is
Yep.
lovely. It's
Got it.
3,000
Got it.
words, 4,000 words, 2,000 words, 5,000 words. You can do that in a day or a weekend or a week or 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
You can have an idea for something,
It's the best way to draw that.
take it out,
It's the easy way
you
to
can
draw
succeed,
that. To draw
or you can fail,
Yeah.
or you can learn things. But all of the things that you learn, whether you succeed or you fail, the important thing is that you just took the boat out. The important thing is that you wrote something. The important thing is that you learned. And that's the place where you get to master new skills. That's the place where you get to find out, okay, I have an idea, can I make this thing happen? I have an idea for a tone of voice. Do I want to do that? Would this thing work? I have an idea here for something that's slightly mad. You can start a short story just with the setup. You can start a short story just with the end. You can start a short story just with something that happens in the middle. And okay, well then start here. Go meet that thing that happens in the middle and then follow it on and see where it goes. If it fails,
It's like
it fails.
that.
It's okay. You've lost 3 days. You've lost a week. No big deal.
yeah. You don't have to draw all the finger there.
Some years ago, I got a call from BlackBerry. Actually, the call came from an advertising agency, and they said, "Would I
BlackBerry.
come in and talk to them?" I said, "Sure." And they said, BlackBerry are launching their first smartphone, and they want to do something to do with art. And they want you to do something to do with art. I said, "Well, do I have to do it with a BlackBerry?" And they said, "No, you just have to do a thing. What would you like to do?"
You just gotta
I
do
said,
the
"Well,
thing.
I have
Just do the thing,
an
bro.
idea that's a bit mad." I said, "So what I'd love to do
Just
is
do the
something
thing.
that basically is the 21st century equivalent."
Alright. What did I
When
learn
Hal
from
and
this?
Ellison used to
You
write
don't have
short
to draw the
stories
third part.
in the windows.
It's just
of
2
bookshops.
parts.
And he would set up his typewriter and a chair in the window, and he would work. And he loved the idea that people were seeing him working and seeing what was actually happening, and that seeing him staring and writing and not writing.
Yeah. Look at me drawing.
So I put together a bunch of questions.
This is me trying to get
12
better.
questions. And they were things like,
Do you practice
why is January dangerous?
what you can't draw? Or
What's
do
the
you draw the
strangest
same thing?
You've seen in July? What did you lose in
Ah,
November? Just questions that went out.
such a headache to
What
draw.
I didn't want was people suggesting titles for
Alright.
stories, suggesting ideas
What
for
else?
stories.
What couldn't I
wanted was just
draw?
to take
What couldn't I draw?
Beautiful. a little idea and go, okay, that's a starting point. And for people to realize that anything could be a starting point. So, my question that I asked for March was, what historical figure does March remind you of? And I thought, well, that'll be a fun question because I'll get something that's got a person in it. And the
Oh,
reply,
really, dude?
was beautiful. The one that I picked just said, Anne Bonny and her rapscallion heart, dreaming for a ship of her very own. I found a notebook.
This
I really
isn't
like this particular notebook
necessarily
because
hard.
it's just a blank book. It's bound. I think it may even have been a misprinted book with no text in. And then I wrote a calendar of tales at the front. I wrote down all of the months in order. And then I began to
I'm gonna
write.
draw this.
So it was too warm in the great house, and so the two of them went out onto the porch. A spring storm was brewing far to the west. Already the flicker of lightning and the unpredictable chilly gusts blew about them and cooled them. They sat decorously on the porch swing, the mother and the daughter, and they talked of when the woman's husband would be home, for he had
Daughter.
taken ship with the tobacco crop to far away England.
Daughter.
Mary, who was 13, so pretty, so easily startled, said, "I do declare, I am glad that all the pirates have gone to the gallows, and Father will
Oh
come
yeah,
back to us
this is
safely."
some cold-blooded
Her
shit. He
mother's
says.
smile was
I remember
gentle, and
this.
it did not fade as she said, "I do not care to talk about pirates, Mary."
If
She
you
was
lived
dressed
like
as
a
boy
man, you
when
wouldn't
she was
have
a girl,
died like a
to cover
dog.
up her father's scandal. She did not wear a woman's dress until she was on the ship with her father and with her mother, his serving girl mistress, whom he would call wife in the New World, and they were on their way from Cork to the Carolinas. She fell in
I'm gonna
love
draw
for the first
this.
time on that journey, enveloped in unfamiliar cloth, clumsy in her strange skirts. She was 11, and it was no sailor who took her heart, but the ship itself. Anne would sit in the bows watching the grey Atlantic roll beneath them, listening to the gulls scream and feeling Ireland recede with each moment, taking with it all the old lies. She left her love when they landed with regret, and even as her father prospered in the new land, she dreamed of the creak and slap of the sails. Her father was a good man. He had been pleased when she had returned, and did not speak of her time away, the young man whom she had married, how he had taken her to Providence. She'd returned to her family 3 years
This-
after
I
with a
never had
baby in
problem
her
with
breast.
this.
Her husband had died, she said, and although tales and rumors abounded, even the sharpest of the gossiping tongues did not think to suggest that Anne Riley was the pirate girl, Anne Bonny, Red Rackham's first mate. If you had fought like a man, you would not have died like a dog.
Oh.
Those have been Anne Bonny's last words to the man who put the baby in her belly. Or so they said.
Cold-blooded.
Mrs. Riley watched the lightning play and
Die
heard the
like a
first
man.
rumble
You
of
wouldn't have
distant
died
thunder.
like a dog.
Her hair
And
was
lived
grey
like a
now,
man.
and her skin just as fair as that of any local woman of property.
Oh yeah, I know what. I couldn't
It
draw
sounds like
this.
cannon fire, said Mary. Anne
Fucking.
had named her for her own mother and for her best friend in the years she was away from the great house. "Why would you say such things?" asked her mother primly. "In this house we do not speak of
I know,
cannon
like-
fire."
Like, relax.
The
bro.
first of the March rain fell.
Why you
then.
say such
And
things?
Mrs. Riley surprised her daughter by getting up from the porch swing and leaning into the rain so it splashed her face like sea spray. It was quite out of character for a woman of such respectability.
I couldn't
As
draw
the rain
this
splashed her face,
when I
she
was
thought herself
starting
there,
out.
the captain of her own ship, the cannonade around them,
tried
the stench of the
so
gunpowder
much.
smoke blowing on the salt breeze. Her ship's deck would be painted red
Like
to mask the
literally
blood in battle.
a
The wind would fill
goddamn
her billowing
sketchbook.
canvas with a snap as loud as a cannon's roar as they prepared to board the merchant ship and take whatever they
Full
wished,
sketchbook
jewels or
filled with
coin,
this.
and burning kisses with her first mate when the madness was done.
Burning kisses.
"Mother," said Mary, "I do believe you must be thinking of a great secret. You have such a strange smile on your face." "Silly girl, Akushla,"
Silly
said her
girl.
mother. And then she
Trickster
said, "I
for
was thinking of
kids."
your father." She spoke the truth, and the March winds blew madness about them. What's lovely about that is I could absolutely see that as the end of a novel, or I could see it as the beginning of a novel, because we have two characters, and you have a huge and glorious problem here, which is you have a pirate queen, pirate captain,
I couldn't draw
who
this.
pled her belly. You were allowed to do that. You could escape the death sentence if
But it does look
You were
weird,
pregnant.
even though if
She
it's
was
right.
pregnant.
Just
and has
naturally just
disappeared
looks
back
weird.
into real life. She has a lot to lose if people discover that she was a pirate captain. If they discover she was a pirate. She also has a lot that's hidden. And she has abilities that are obviously not
See,
being used.
it's just naturally weird
plantation.
looking.
Selling tobacco, growing tobacco. In March, back for the revolution.
Yeah.
So You have
I
a
don't know.
really kind of fun and
You're
wonderful
fucking up
setup.
again.
And yes, it
Jesus.
could be an end. You could start the story with young Anne Bonny being dressed as a boy. by
This
her
is
father.
haunting
You
me.
could tell her
It's
story and go through.
PTSD. I
You
know
could
how to do
actually
this.
end at the point where I end, as if this really is the end of a novel. Or you could begin something here. And all you have to do is to put her in difficulties. And you have
There you
her,
go.
you have a daughter, you have a husband coming back. Just bring in somebody from the past, and now we have a plot. And that feels like it has legs. I don't know who that person would be. I don't know what would happen. But I do know that she risks losing everything. And
Oh,
that immediately
PTSD.
puts you in a
Kicking
fantastic
in.
place to tell a story with.
This is too hard to draw. God damn it.
So, let's
The better
say I
question
wanted to
is,
turn
why
that
would you
story,
want
that
to
March
draw
story,
this so badly?
into a novel?
So stupid.
I love the
dude.
idea of
Like,
respectable
such a weird
Riley.
angle to draw.
and her lovely little daughter Mary and their husband coming back from England, and what's going to happen to them?
It's like, no matter
What's
what
going to
you
happen
do,
when somebody turns up
this angle looks
and throws
weird.
everything into
No
jeopardy?
matter what.
The first thing I would probably do is go, okay, I don't think that's enough yet. Because I don't know what it's about. Do you remember when I
Even
was
if you
talking
refine
earlier?
it still
I
looks
said,
weird.
okay, you can have your plot, you can have some characters, you can have an idea, you can have a starting place.
So, such
what's it
a
about?
weird thing to draw.
And you start thinking about this and you go, okay, well, it's probably about secrets.
Secrets?
It's probably about gender roles.
Gender.
well.
Gender.
Those two things sound pretty real. It can be about the romance of piracy and the reality of piracy. That's also feels like something it's about. But really, I love the idea that it's about a competent woman in danger, defending herself and everything she loves.
Boss girl.
That feels like, okay, that feels
You don't
like
own me.
that could be a good about.
I don't see no ring on
All of
this
that other
finger.
stuff, that feels real.
You don't own
So I
me.
need to put her into danger, which means the person who
There you go.
comes back
I want to
into
draw
her
that.
life needs to be somehow
Oops.
not only imperiling
Oopsie.
the safe life that she has, but has to be much
What
more
else?
dangerous.
What did I not know how
So
to
you
draw?
go, right, let's bring somebody in to the story that you know the first thing that's going to happen is that somebody is going to come in from her past, and it's going to be somebody
How do
who she is
draw
not
this
pleased to
correctly?
see.
Going
That
fast.
feels right. I don't know at this point necessarily whether they mean her good or ill. It might be interesting if you're going to do that kind of thing to have whoever is the real threat to her still not arriving. We're at the beginning of a book here. So if we're going to tell something novel-wise, then whoever comes into the story here isn't the person who is really going to be dangerous, isn't going to be the either the pirate from her past or the law officer from her past or the captain of the ship who captured her before. Those are things that aren't yet ready to come onto the stage. But somebody needs to come into town almost as a herald
Okay, relax.
and tell you that things are going to go wrong. And the other thing that you go is, well, we have Mary, we have a beautiful daughter, we have the romance of piracy, and much more than being beautiful, she's innocent. And has been kept innocent by her mother. And she has no idea who her mother is. She has no idea what her mother is capable of. Which means that something we're going to do somewhere in the story, probably not immediately again, but it feels like we are going to have to put Mary in danger. We're almost definitely, it feels like you're going to have Anne Riley, go and rescue her, and rescue her by becoming the Anne Bonny that she has put away. So you're not, when you're
I mean, this is
plotting,
not the angle
you're
that I'm
asking yourself,
trying to
what
draw.
could happen? What feels right
Look,
What would be
easy way to draw it
satisfying?
is like this.
in a book like that? The things I've said aren't a plot yet. They're saying, I think this should happen. I think this should happen.
You know, that's the easy way.
This kind of thing is going to happen a little bit further down the line. I have no idea who lives and who dies. I have no idea how people survive, how dark it's going to get. But what I do know is that
If I do it
it's
like
going to
that,
get dark.
it's just I just
Because
always
a book
fuck
of this
up on the
kind has to
finger
get dark.
width.
And there's a lovely
Alright,
point
so draw the
where
middle first. I think that's the best.
it's like forking paths. When you begin
Fucking paths?
any story, you have an infinite number of forking paths. Every decision,
The
every
fucking
word, every
paths?
paragraph is a fork.
It's a what?
By the time you're 3/4 of the way through, you have a very limited number of forking paths.
He said it
By the time you
again.
get to the end of the story, there's really only one, maybe two,
God
maybe
damn
three
it.
paths you can go down. And you happen to know what they are and where they are.
Relax.
And so you keep making your choices, but your choices lead
To a
You
fucking
too.
path.
inevitable places where you have.
Okay, draw the middle
So people
first.
talk when writing fiction about character, and they talk about dialogue. They talk about them as if they're two different things. And they are two different things, but they're two different things that actually amount to the same thing. And they're like the two legs that a character needs in order to walk. So in the next class, we're going to talk about character and dialogue and what they are and how incredibly tightly interwoven they can be. When I started out, the most terrifying thing for me was the idea of character creation. And who were characters? I didn't really get characters. I didn't understand what characters were. And it took a while for me to learn really how to write good characters. Characters who were three-dimensional,
Messed up
characters who
again.
felt real.
This is
Characters who
crazy.
felt real to me.
I'm tripping out again.
A lot of the key to it,
Alright, so if
people
it's
say,
like
do you
like
do
that,
those
alright?
sorts of books and things before you start? Do you list off lots of things about your characters?
So it's like
And I say no. Mostly, what I do is try and figure out what they sound like, how they talk. Sometimes what they look like, but mostly how they talk. Because
okay.
dialogue is character. The way that somebody talks, what they say, how they say it, is character. And dialogue has to show character. It also has to show plot. And maybe it can be funny along the way. And good dialogue is doing all three of those things at the same time. It's making you smile or making you see things you've never seen before. It's moving the story along. And more than anything, it's telling you things about the people who are saying it and who they're saying it to. And so for me, the key to writing good dialogue, which was the key to character, were the years that I spent as a journalist doing interviews. I would meet somebody that I wanted to talk to, writers, creators. I'd have my little tape recorder. I would talk to them for 2 or 3 hours. I would transcribe the tape. And then, having transcribed the tape, which would give me 10,000 words of transcription, my task would be to turn that into a 2,000 to 3,000 word interview. So I learned a lot at that point about economy. How do you make somebody sound like themselves without ever necessarily using the exact words that they used, because now you're compressing. And people don't talk like themselves. People don't use semicolons. People don't speak grammatically. People, instead, they start sentences. They leave words dangling.
Yeah.
A few seconds ago I said people, and then I hesitated, and then I changed course, because that's how people talk, and you can't do that. Or you can't do exactly that.
Alright.
In
Somewhat
writing.
better.
But you can figure out where the rhythms are. You can figure out how to make somebody sound like the person who was
Fingers are
talking
all
to you.
crooked though.
And you learn compression. You learn, more than anything else, economy. And it was that economy that actually, I think, looking back on it,
I'm
that was the
hungry.
most
I always get
useful
hungry.
thing for
I didn't eat
going
anything.
out there and writing fiction.
Because I'm trying to get
Because
better
I
at
learned
drawing.
how to compress, and I'd learned how to show character, show who somebody was by what they said. The process of writing good dialogue is a listening process. It's the process of you write the line before,
Trying to draw the
and
Elon
then
Musk
you
salute.
listen and find out what comes back at you. What is the
Jesus
person saying?
Christ.
Sometimes for me,
No, it's like, how do I
I need
do this?
to know what a person
Simply,
that I'm writing
dude.
about looks like. When I was writing Sandman, I decided that the
Like that?
title character, the Sandman, who's
Like
also
that.
known as Dream, would be part of a family called the Endless. And very rapidly,
Okay, if the fingers are
figured out
this
for myself
wide,
who
the midpoint is
six.
here.
of the Endless were. And then there was
So
a
like-
young
like
one,
that?
and I knew there were 7 of
Two.
them, and I wasn't quite sure about that one. And then I thought, Delirium. Delirium seems right. And I saw a photograph of a girl at a nightclub wearing ripped fishnets sort of all over herself and just looking very, very sweet, but kind of out of it. I thought, okay, her. That kind of look. There's something very fragile there, very young. And
And then
that was where I began.
I went to pick her up
But I thought that when she came on,
and asked how much. She said,
in
"I'm
contrast
not a prostitute."
to the slightly out of it look, she was going to be angry. She was going to be in control. She was going to be, there was going to be rage. And I tried writing that, and it felt wrong. And I wrote about a page of this dialogue, and it felt forced. It didn't really feel like the character I had in mind. So I thought, okay, let's listen to that character. Let's see what we get. And I thought, actually, let's go for something much more gentle and bemused and speaking in sentences in the same way that a small child can speak in sentences. That is slightly off from whatever you're expecting. And suddenly the character came to life. And she would say the strangest things, and it was like finding that part of your mind that is gloriously, perfectly unhinged.
Better.
And every now
A
and
lot
again,
better.
she would just say things like, you know, have you ever spent days and days making up flavors of ice cream that nobody's ever eaten? Chicken and telephone ice cream and green mouse ice cream. I didn't like that either. And you're going, oh, I didn't even know that could come out of my head.
No.
But once you have a character who can say that kind
I
of
have a
thing,
job, little girl.
then you also have a character who is allowed to say incredibly wise things
I
as
got
well.
bills to pay.
And
I
so
don't think
I
about no
could
ice
sneak
cream.
huge and important things into Delirium's mouth.
There you go.
and know that they could be taken hugely
There you go.
seriously. Along with just the weird, lovely, odd, funny little comments she'd make, you know. Somebody talks about
Okay, I get it.
losing time, and she says, I lost some time once. It's always in the last place you look for it. So you have to train yourself
Bars
as a
right
writer
there.
to listen. Characters, if you are writing them, become part of you and become separate from you at the same time. You have to
Okay, I got
know
it.
your
I got
characters
it.
well enough to know
I got
would
it.
they do this.
What did
And
you learn?
Sometimes they won't. And at that point, mostly I'll trust
You
them.
gotta draw the fingertips
I have known writers who
bigger.
are like, well, you know, they have no choice. If I have written my outline and I have the character going from here to here and they don't want to, well, they do
The finger's bigger.
I tend to
Although,
listen. To my characters. It's
try to
like
avoid that.
a kind of
Fingers should be a little bit bigger.
controlled insanity. Because
Tip is still
on the
straight.
one hand, I
Still
am
straight.
perfectly aware
Despite
that
what
I'm
you might want to
creating
believe, the
the
tip
character.
is straight.
I made them up. They start with me.
That helps. The tip
Everything
helps.
they say came out of my head.
The tip
And on the other hand,
helps like that.
the moment that they are alive, the moment that they
Okay.
are doing things,
Last
the moment
one.
they are
Last
real,
one. Last
I'm
one.
imbuing them with life. I'm imbuing
Last
them with
one.
my belief. I care about them. I'm
Pinky.
interested in them. And it's almost as if I'm watching them and listening to them. And the problem then comes when they stop,
Okay.
when they don't say anything,
There you go.
when they don't move. And instead of writing down what they're doing, you have to figure it out. You have to figure out where you went wrong. You have to figure out why the character isn't saying anything. And that, it's always a slightly strange process because there is something genuinely mad about it. If you are writing good characters, believable characters, glorious, larger-than-life characters, they do take on a sort of a life. You know, Terry Pratchett and I used to joke that we talk about, you know, going to meet our maker. And if we killed characters in our fiction, maybe one day there'd be a knock at the door and we'd open the door and there would be some of our characters looking up at us sadly saying, why did I have to suffer and die? And you want to say, well, for the entertainment and enlightenment of other people. And they'd look up at us and go, is that enough? You go, it has to be enough. If I'm doing my job as a writer, if I'm giving it everything I've got, my characters are going to be believable
Okay.
because I believe in them.
Not quite
And I believe
the
them.
angle that I was going
They are
for,
going to be separate from me,
but still.
and
Nah,
they're going
this
to be
is-
part of me. And
Okay,
some
so
of
if you
that
draw
is simply
the initial lines way
having
too
come up with a
long,
character, knowing what
It
kind
becomes
of
like
person
this.
that character is going to be at the point where you start writing
now
it.
how do you avoid that? How do you avoid
You are
that?
going into yourself,
So
and you have to not
this
be afraid
and this
of yourself.
this has to be
You have
longer
to be
than
willing, if you're writing a murderer, if you're writing a bad person, to go and find that part of you
this. What does that even mean?
that is
what
the bad
does that
person,
even
that is
mean?
the murderer, that would take pleasure in
Sorry,
this thing,
sorry.
and go, okay, what would
Okay.
you say?
Okay.
What would you do?
Okay.
Who are you?
Hello,
By the same
Hello,
token,
Vincent.
You go and
How are
find
you,
the
Vincent?
part of you
Yamamoto.
that is female. You go and
Yamamoto
find the part of
VT.
you
Vincent.
that is old. You go and find that part.
I hope you're still here.
And
I'm
then
going crazy trying to draw this
you don't
hand.
think of it as
and
the
master
part of you that's
it.
female, the part of you that's old, the part of you that's bad. You
Like
think of
that?
it as that person,
Like that.
and you
Okay.
trust them.
Good enough length. Good enough
You listen
width.
to them.
If this is the case,
While you're writing a character named Caroline, you are
Like that.
always, if you are me anyway, asking yourself, well, what would I do? What would I have done? What would I have done if instead of being
See,
me
this
in
is
my
too small.
childhood,
what's a good
I
way to
was
figure this out?
7, 8, maybe 9 years old, and this was happening to me,
What's a good
now.
way to figure this out?
what would I do?
What is a good way to figure this out?
And that question, finding that
Draw the
part
middle
of
one.
yourself that is an 8 or 9-year-old girl and feels right is
Too long.
is important.
It's too steep.
It's vital.
There you go. But fat. You gotta draw it fat.
On the one hand, if you are an adult writer, you know a lot of people. You have encountered a lot of people
Yes.
in your lifetime. You encountered them at school, you've encountered them at home, you've encountered them in the streets. You have met good people, you have met bad people, you have met bullies, you have
Mostly
met angels,
bad.
you have met complex and interesting people. You can,
Not really.
and those people filtered down, flavored differently, are going to start showing up in your fiction. But you're also going to need to write about people you don't know.
Not
You're going
bad.
to need to write
Not
about
bad.
people from cultures you
God
don't
damn
know.
it.
You're going to write about people
Shorter
with
it
professions
is.
you do not understand. You may need to write
The
about
bigger this
types
is.
of people who you do not know. And for them, my advice to anybody starting out is just go find them, go talk to them. Talk to people. Talk to people
Not the
with
best.
different sexual
Not the
orientations
best
to yours if you're going to be writing
idea.
them. Talk to people from different cultures.
That's
Go
good.
in,
I like
do your
that.
research, do it with respect, know that there are things to be known. So, I think
There you go.
if you were a starting
There you go. You got
writer,
it. You got it.
probably even if you're an experienced writer, I have 2 pieces of advice for you if you want to channel a character, a time period, anything. One of which is, and they're kind of opposite and contradictory, and they're both true. One of which is trust yourself. Do it.
Short.
You do it by doing it. Just do
Not
it.
too
And
long.
the other is do your research. But
I got it.
I've known too many
I got
writers starting out
I got it.
who would get trapped in a vortex of research. And you
Just
can't.
gotta practice.
You have to
a little
do
more.
enough.
This one looks the
research.
worst.
It's like you're
It's
a
like retarded hand.
smash and grab robber. You are going to put that brick through the window, then you're going to reach in and grab everything that you need and run away and use it.
One more time. One more
Because
time.
honestly,
One more time.
You
One
don't
more time.
want to spend
Let's do it.
10 years researching
Let's do it.
manners and mores in
Okay.
British public schools of the 1870s in order to get your
Like that.
story perfect. There may be some stories
Like
that
that.
you have spent your life unconsciously researching. You
Research.
know what a heartbreak is. You know what it's like to work in a bank. You know what it's like to have to walk a long way in the rain. Whatever it is, the thing that you're writing is, you're going, okay, well, I have that already, that's there. And if you don't know what it's like to walk for 10 days in the rain, you might know what it's like to walk for a few hours in the rain, and you can extrapolate and you go, okay, well, it's going to be like that, only worse, and what's it going to be like on day 3? And now you have to sleep in wet clothes, and okay, and everything's going to hurt, and now you're getting sore, and now you're getting the athlete's foot in the trench. Oh, this is, but imagination plays a huge amount, putting yourself in the place of somebody. But then there will be places and times where you go,
I don't want to be doing this.
you go, I don't know this, and I need to find out. go and learn, because that's what will make your fiction good.
Too
But
thick,
that's what
dude.
will also make your fiction feel honest and true.
Honest. Honest.
Characters in a book, there are lots of them. And one of the things I learned, I may have learned it from Dickens, or I may have learned it from Jack Kirby.
Jack Kirby.
But whoever I learned it from, possibly even from A.A. Milne, when you have a lot of characters wandering around, you need to help your reader. You need to just give your reader a hand. And one of the ways that I've always liked to do that is what I call funny hats. And by funny hats, I don't actually literally mean
Yeah,
have a
I
character
got
wear a
this,
funny
dude.
hat.
I got
What I
this.
do mean is
Finally.
you give your character something that makes that character different from every other
I
character.
understand this
in the book.
now.
And it's something that reading the work of young writers,
I mean,
they tend to hesitate to do. And the trouble with that is you can read a short story, occasionally even read a novel, with a number of people who are indistinguishable from each other except for their names. Which means you have to remember
pretty
their
good.
names.
I mean,
You have to remember who they
Doesn't
are,
look-
and when they show up, you have to thumb back and go, okay, hang on, is this Simon?
the
Or is this
fingertip
Jack?
has to be thicker.
Or is and oh
You know,
no, hang
when
on,
you
this
draw-
is the other one who they met before. This is Peter.
This
And
hands,
what's lovely is just, and you do this.
it's
as an
uncomfortable
author,
to draw the
out of
fingers
kindness
this
for your
thick.
reader, is give them funny hats. Give them that point. You
It's
know,
like it's kind of
Simon
like
wears the bright red bowler hat.
it's unusual.
Peter
so
wears the top
it's
hat.
tough to.
And of
That's why
course,
it's tough to draw.
all of these hats are metaphorical. You just make sure
Because
that
anything
when
that's
somebody comes on,
foreshortened,
they don't look like anyone else. They don't sound like anybody
freaking
else.
weird to draw.
You can do it in realistic fiction. You can do it in children's fiction. You can do it in fiction aimed at the lowest common denominator. You can do it at fiction that is elegant and beautiful. But either way, you just write characters who are different from each other. They look different from each other. They feel different from each other. There is something about them that means that the reader is you're holding the reader's hand a little bit, and you're just making sure that they're never confused.
Oh really, dude?
So in a book like Neverwhere, we begin
I got it.
with Mr. Croup and Mr. Vandermeer.
If I could revise this, just
And
thinner.
you immediately realize how different they are. Mr. Croup had hired Ross at the last floating market, which had been held in Westminster Abbey. Think of him, he told Mr. Vandermeer, as a canary.
Think of
sings.
him.
Asked Mr. Vandermeer. I doubt it, I sincerely and utterly doubt it. Mr. Croup ran a hand through his lank orange hair. No, my fine friend, I was thinking metaphorically, more along the lines of the birds, they take down mines. Mr. Vandermeer nodded, comprehension dawning slowly.
When
Yes,
it's
a
foreshortened,
canary.
it doesn't get
Mr. Ross
short.
had
It
no
just
other
it
resemblance to a canary.
covers it, you know.
There are 4 simple ways for the observant to
It
tell
doesn't
Mr. Croup and
necessarily
Mr.
get
Vandermeer
shorter
apart. First, Mr. Vandermeer
in
is
terms
2
of
and a
hand.
half heads taller than
It's just
Mr. Croup.
being
Second,
covered.
Mr.
So
Croup has eyes of a faded china blue, while Mr. Vandermeer's eyes are brown. Third, while Mr. Vandermeer fashioned the rings he wears on his right hand out of the skulls of 4 ravens, Mr. Croup has no
what
obvious
else? What
jewelry.
else? What can
Fourth,
I?
Mr.
what do I-
Croup likes
what do I have
words,
trouble drawing?
while
What do
Mr.
I have trouble
Vandermeer is
drawing?
always hungry. Also, they look nothing at all alike. And so we immediately have a couple of killers. They are very, very dangerous, and They do not talk in any way alike. They do not look alike.
Okay, one more time.
Um,
Jesus Christ.
One of them is monosyllabic, the other is multisyllabic. Enjoys words, is going to have a relationship with things where the only thing we ever see him eat is a piece of very fine Tang Dynasty china, whereas Mr. Vandermeer is always hungry, as we have learned, and just eats things as he goes, frogs and rats and bits of dead puppy and anything that he happens to find
Dead
along the way.
puppy?
And they are the assassiniest assassins I could come up with.
Fucking savage,
Some
dude.
of the other characters
I
in
mean, I'd rather starve, you know?
Neverwhere
Eat a
also
dead puppy.
a funny hat
Nah,
to
I'll eat a
characters.
dead puppy.
The Marquis de
I'm hungry.
Carabas, who deals in favors, wears a huge and glorious coat.
It's
And
dead.
is always wearing the coat until he is murdered and the coat gets stolen and things in the plot get very difficult for him. Old Bailey
Why? What? When
lives
did I
on the
make this
top
line so
of
thick?
roofs, and up on the rooftops he's dressed in a cape of feathers. He's described as looking like what Robinson Crusoe in the popular imagination would have looked like if he were cast away on the rooftops of London with nothing but birds to create his world out of. So you take these characters and
Looks a little
secure
weird
in the knowledge
right
that
now.
none of them could
Right now
be
it looks weird.
confused for
But
any
finish
of the
this.
others. None of
Finish
them talk
this.
the same.
Won't
And
look
when they
as
turn
weird.
up, you know who they are. The reader does not have to work at that thing. Have to be.
DMCA.
There are two ways you can introduce a character. They can be static, or they can be on the move. And it can be really fun if you want to meet somebody, if you want to encounter somebody, if you're bringing on a character, to just throw them into an unfamiliar setting, to make the reader do a lot of the work. But by the same token, you're making people immediately have to figure out what's going on. Here we go. This is a book called Trigger Warning, and it contains in it a short story that I wrote. A sort of a set of 12
No, it's not bad. It's not bad.
short stories called
Don't
Calendar
trip,
of
don't
Tales.
trip.
Here's the October tale. And I'll go through the whole thing because it's fairly short and it does a whole bunch of stuff with character. And then I'll tell you what I did and I'll tell you why I did it. That feels good, I said, and I stretched my
Okay.
neck to get out the last of the crap.
Okay. This is it.
It didn't
You
just
got it.
feel good, it felt great, actually.
It's good enough.
I'd been squashed up inside that lamp for so long. You start to think that nobody's ever going to rub it again. You're a genie, said the young lady with the
Not
portion
hard. It's
cloth
not
in her
hard.
hand.
It's not
I am.
hard. You just.
You're a smart girl, Toots. What gave me away? The appearing in a puff of smoke, she said, and you look like a genie. You've got the turban and
It's
the pointy shoes.
fingertips.
I folded my arms and blinked. Now I was wearing blue jeans, grey sneakers,
But
and a faded grey
If you
sweater.
don't like it,
the
you can
male
hide it.
uniform
You
of
know,
this
you can
time
hide
and
it like
place.
this.
I raised a hand to my forehead and I bowed deeply. I am the genie of the lamp, I told her. Rejoice, O fortunate one. I have it in my power to grant you 3 wishes. And don't try the I wish for more wishes thing. I won't play and you'll lose a wish. Right, go for it. I folded my arms again. No, she said, I mean thanks and all that, but it's fine. I'm good. Honey, I said, Toots, sweetie. Perhaps you misheard me. I'm a genie. And the 3 wishes. We're talking anything you want. You ever dreamed of flying? I can give you wings. You want to be wealthy,
There you
richer
go.
than Croesus? You want power?
You can hide it,
Just
so
say
it's not a hard
3
thing.
wishes, whatever you want. Like I said, she said, thanks, I'm fine. Would you like something to drink? You must be parched after spending so much time in that lamp. Wine? Water? Tea? Actually, now she came to mention it, I was thirsty. Do you have any mint tea? She made me some mint tea in a teapot that was almost a twin to the lamp in which I'd spent the greater part of the last 1,000 years. Thank you for the tea. No problem. But I don't get it. Everyone I've ever met, they start asking for things. A fancy house, a harem of gorgeous women. Not that you'd want that, of course. I might, she said. You can't just make assumptions about people. Oh, and don't call me Toots or Sweetie or any of those things. My name's Hazel. Ah, I understood. You want a beautiful woman, then. My apologies. You have but to wish. I folded my arms. No, she said, I'm good. No wishes. How's the tea? I told her that the mint tea was the finest I had ever tasted. She asked me when I had started feeling a need to grant people's wishes and whether I felt a desperate need to please. She asked about my mother, and I told her that she could not judge me as she would judge mortals, for I was a jinn, powerful and wise, magical and mysterious. She asked me if I liked hummus, and when I said that I did, she toasted a pita bread and sliced it up for me to dip into the hummus.
Oh, I want a hummus and
I dipped
pita
my bread slices into the hummus and ate it with delight. The hummus gave
I'm
me an
hungry,
idea.
man.
Just make a wish, I said helpfully, and I could have a meal fit for a sultan brought into you. Each dish would be finer than the one before and all served upon golden plates, and you could keep the plates afterwards. It's good, she said with a smile.
I'm
Would
good,
you like
bro.
to go for a walk?
I'm
We walked
good.
together through the town. It felt good to stretch my legs after so many years in the lab. We wound up in a
Stop
public
asking me.
park, sitting on a bench by a lake. It was warm but gusty, and the autumn leaves fell in flurries each time the wind blew. I told Hazel about my youth as a djinn, of how we used to eavesdrop on the angels, and how they would throw comets at us if they spied us listening. I told her of the bad days of the djinn wars, and how King Suleiman had imprisoned us inside hollow objects, bottles, lamps, clay pots, that kind of thing. She told me of her parents, who were both killed in the same plane crash, and who had left her the house. She told me of her job illustrating children's books, a job she had backed into accidentally at the point she realized she would never be a really competent
Do it
medical
again.
illustrator. And of how happy she
Jesus
became whenever she was
Christ.
sent a new book to illustrate.
Same mistake all the
She
time.
told me she taught life drawing to adults at the local community college one evening a week. I saw no obvious flaw in her life.
Does she
No
make
hole that she
finger
could fill by
painting
wishing,
too?
save one. Your life is good, I told her, but you have no one to share it with. Wish and I will bring you the perfect man. Or woman. A film star, a rich person. No need, I'm good.
I'm good,
She
bro.
We walked back to her house
don't need
past
no
houses
man.
dressed for Halloween.
I'm independent woman.
This is not right, I told her. People always want things. Not me. I've got everything I need. Then what do I do? She thought for a
Go
moment.
fuck off.
Then she pointed at her front yard. Can you rake the leaves? Is that your wish?
Like,
Nope,
no.
just something you could do while I'm getting our dinner ready. I raked the leaves into a heap by
No,
the
but
beach.
then the
Stuck
girl's
the
just
wind from blowing
trolling
to
at
mine.
this point. Just
After
make it a
dinner,
wish then.
I washed up the dishes.
She's just trolling the
I spent
genie.
the night in Hazel's spare bedroom. It wasn't that she didn't want help. She let me help. I ran errands for her, picked up art supplies and groceries. On days she had been painting for a long time, she let me rub her neck and shoulders. I have good, firm hands. Shortly before Thanksgiving, I moved out of the spare bedroom across the hall into the main bedroom and Hazel's bed. I watched her face this morning as she slept. I stared at the shapes her lips make when she sleeps. The creeping sunlight touched her face, and she opened her eyes and stared at me. And she smiled. You know what I never asked, she said, is what about you? What would you wish for if I asked what your 3 wishes were?
For you to make a wish.
I thought for a moment. I put my arm around her, and she snuggled her head into my shoulder. It's okay, I told her. I'm good. So, we only have 2 people in that story. We have the genie who never gets a name. And we have Hazel,
Okay.
who doesn't get a name until about halfway through the story. What's fun with this is we start literally with a bang. We start with a "this feels good" and him stretching his neck, and that's a very human moment. We don't know who our narrator is, but he's stretching his neck to get out the cramp. And then he says it didn't just feel good, it felt great. I've been squashed up inside that lamp for so long, you start to think that nobody's ever going to rub it again. And the next line, of course, which lands that idea for anybody who's going, hang on, this is "You're a genie," said the young lady with the polishing cloth in her hand. Now we have two characters. We don't know anything about them other than one is a genie and one is the young lady who has just set him free. His reply is, "I am, you're a smart girl, Toots, what gave me away?" And you're going, that Toots is kind of a bit of a weird little put down.
Don't call me Toots.
And it's also a very odd thing for a genie to say.
I know, right?
So he's patronizing. He's of another time and hasn't quite got up to date with the language. And he feels like a genie in my mind, although obviously he's probably been in that lamp for, let's say he's been, imprisoned in there for many thousands of years. I suspect that probably the last time he came out and did wishes was probably the 1940s, 1930s or 40s. So he's a mass of 1930s and 40s attitudes, and that little Toots, which is just so completely not of its time and not of its place, kind of tells you that.
Why?
Her reply is, "The appearing in a puff of smoke," she said, "and you look like a genie. You've got the turban and the pointy shoes." And we already
Toots?
know
How do you
that
spell
she is
Toots?
practical and sensible.
I'll bring it back. I'll start
And
calling people Toots.
She gives the absolutely practical, sensible reply. He transforms himself.
Excuse me, Toots?
He does a full speech. He gets very formal and does the "I'm the genie of the lamp. Rejoice, O fortunate one. I have it in my power to grant you 3 wishes." And then
So you fucking up because you're not
undercuts it
focusing.
somewhat
Then.
with his little speech about don't
Focus.
do the "I wish for more wishes" thing, but it's right, go. And she says, "No, I mean thanks and all that, but it's fine, I'm good." And now we suddenly have a plot. We don't just have 2 characters, because we have something that we've never seen before. We have a genie who is prepared to grant somebody 3 wishes, and somebody saying, "I'm good. It's okay." And that for me was
But that's kind of
the little bit
stupid.
of
She
grit
could have wished
that
for
I
like
tried to
world.
build a small pearl
She could have
of.
ended
What
world
happens
hunger.
if a genie
She could have ended
shows
like.
up and tries to grant 3 wishes to somebody who's just fine? They're okay. I don't ever remember seeing that ever
Yeah, because
as
like
a
it's like-
scenario.
it's pure
as a genie
stupidity.
scenario. There are lots and lots of genie stories. Most of them you kind of feel have been done.
climate
one-
change and all that.
Hasn't been done. So that might be really fun to do.
I don't know
now-
about this guy.
They start to become people. And you get to watch them bump into each other. You get to watch her put him in his place, puncture his preconceptions. When he says a harem of gorgeous women, not
Like,
that
how
you want
about
that, of
ending
course, and
all
she says, "I know.
wars?
You can't just make assumptions about people. Oh, and don't call me Toots or Sweetie or any of those things. My name is Hazel." And you feel like, right, she's just very gently and very kindly put him in his place, and he is going to have
What in his
Things to
place,
learn
dude? He's a
through
genie.
the story.
Like,
Long ago,
she needs to be put in her
I read
place.
an
What is
essay
this guy talking about?
by Robert Heinlein, where he said that there were basically 3 stories.
Okay.
He said there was the little tailor. Somebody starts off poor and gets rich and famous and important. There was boy meets girl, with all of the things that can go wrong in that. Boy can lose girl, boy can gain girl, boy all of the romance stories. Said, and there's a man learns a lesson. And the story in which somebody gets to learn better, somebody gets to change their mind, somebody gets to see the world differently. It's a beautiful shape for a story, and it's the one that isn't done, I think, enough, and is one that I always like to fall back on. The joy of this story is now, even if you don't know it, and even if it is, I guess, very simplistically and very simply a boy meets girl story, it's absolutely a story about somebody learning a lesson. And
yeah, the girl's stupid.
from there, his attempts to try and get her to make a wish, you get to see, okay, she is actually content. Now we have two people, and one of them
Yeah, but
is
that's such a
completely in her
selfish
element,
thing. That's my point.
and the other
Like,
is absolutely out of his element. Okay, he's not going to grant 3 wishes and return to the
you
land.
gotta do a selfless
What's
thing.
he going to do?
If you don't, Jesus
And the
Christ,
idea
dude.
of just putting him in the mundanest possible situation. Actually, at that point, you're making the mundane
It's like pissing me
feel-
off now.
exotic and magical by his presence. And you're making him feel a lot more interesting because he is a fish out of water. A wish-granting genie in an Arabian Nights world is
She's
just one more piece of set decoration.
In a raid,
A
there's like
wish-granting
war
genie
going on. That's like the Middle
with no
East,
wishes
right?
to grant, wandering around a small American town shortly before Halloween, is an odd thing that doesn't quite resolve. It's like a little musical passage that you need to keep reading because you want to know how this is going to end. Where does this end? And of course, it ends with him moving in with her, with him
What?
eventually moving in as we know the one thing that she is missing is somebody to love. And now he is becoming that person without actually granting her a wish. And you also realize that this person who we met at the beginning, who was kind of full of himself, full
No,
of
he's not.
attitude,
She's full
very
of herself.
conscious of his status.
What is this guy
but
talking about, dude?
kind of insecure, has also changed when we get right to the end. When she says, you know, what I never asked, she says, is what about you? What would you wish for if I asked what your
How about,
3
like-
wishes were? I thought for a moment, I put my arm around her, and she
This is
snuggled
crazy.
her head into my shoulder. It's okay, I told her.
How about
"I'm
like
good."
ending cancer?
that's
How
the
about
moment that
that?
you
Like
realize
no more
The
cancer.
genie's changed too.
I think that's the easy one right there. Cancer, like
I think that
what the fuck?
the joy of world building in fiction is honestly the joy of getting to play God.
I don't know about this guy. This guy-
Because
How's
as
that a
an
good
author,
story? This is
you get to build the world. Some authors do it a little more invisibly than others. In the same way, as far as I'm concerned, all fiction is fantasy. It is all made up. You are creating people who didn't exist or didn't exist like that and putting them into situations that they were never in, making them say things they
oh,
never
this is
said.
DMC right here.
It is an act of magical creation to do that. When you're starting out as a young writer, especially a young writer wanting to explore the fantastic, wanting to create places that
How about
are
like
not,
dementia or Alzheimer? Like
The
just
urge,
wish for that. Like why
which
don't
you
you?
should always try and push back against. The
How-
urge is to
how
take places
self-centered are
from
you?
fiction. You know, it's the urge, the fan fiction urge.
Fucking
And
crazy,
fan
dude.
fiction is great in its place. But if you are going to be a young writer and you are going to want to create a world, you don't want a world that you borrowed from Tolkien. What you want to do is look at the world outside. Look at the world outside your window. Get out there onto the streets. Look at places. Think about the places that you've been.
I live in LA, man. There's
And
a
then
lot of
change
homeless
them.
out there.
Make them bigger.
It's crackheads,
Make
man.
them smaller.
There's a lot of crackheads.
If you're somebody who's only ever been to school and you think you have nothing to write about except school, what would that school be like?
Oh,
if
they're
it
full of
covered the entire
crackheads?
city? What would that school be like if it was an island?
Was it
What would
an
that
island?
school be like if it was floating in the sky?
Then I
and
couldn't ditch.
People only got to visit it, dragged on the backs.
I would have a hard time
enormous
ditching school.
birds. How do you get to that school?
Oh,
That
that's a
gives
good
you
story.
place, but it
How do I
gives you a
ditch
place
school when
grounded
it's
in
floating,
realism.
right?
Because the moment that you start describing a school, if you know a school, you know the things
That's a good one.
that make schools weird and unusual. The smell of cooking cabbage, or the smell of sports clothes unwashed in lockers. You know what that place is. You know what kinds of people are there. Every little detail that you can steal from the world and
The
smuggle
world.
with you into your fiction
See, this is a
is
problem.
something that makes
because-
your world more real for your reader, but much more important, it makes it more real for you. You need to be the one who believes in your story. You need to be able to believe in your places. If you are building a world, you have to care
Whoa.
about the world. And sometimes
Do I really?
you're also going to have to stop and ask yourself weird questions.
Okay.
Even if those questions are not answered in the text, it's always good for you to know. You know, where do these people go to the toilet? Where do they get their food from? How much
piss into
food
streets, I
does it
guess.
take?
They're
to feed
floating. They piss in
a
the
small
sky, dude. What the
city?
f-
How much farmland? Where are these farms? Where does the food come from? Where does it come in? And suddenly you're asking yourself questions that it's good for you to know, even if you don't want ever to turn
Why does this look
your
off?
book
Is this
into a
arm too
treatise
long?
on medieval economics. If you're writing something set in medieval times, do your homework. Go and look at places. There's a trope in a lot of stories in the Arabian Nights, the 1001 Nights. There's a moment that
It is too
somebody,
long. I mean,
people traveling together, enter a city,
Well,
and
I didn't mean
in the
that to
crush
be
of
the
people at the
elbow.
gates of the city, they get separated. And it happens
It's
over
better.
and over again. And it was something that had never particularly made much sense to me until
It's driving me
I
nuts.
was in old Jerusalem, a little over
It's
a
like,
decade
you
ago,
could have ended cancer,
with my
dude.
guides. And we had to get
That
from
story's driving
old
me nuts.
Jerusalem and go out through one of the old city gates. And there were thousands of people pouring through the gates in both directions. And I found myself swept up and carried away from my guides. And when we got through the gates, and the people had dissipated enough that I could look around and try and find them, they were nowhere to be seen. And I realized that this was that moment. It's a thing that happens in fiction. And now,
What
I've never
happened in
written it,
fiction?
but now if ever I were writing an Arabian Nights story, I would know how that feels. I would know what that is, and I would make it very, very believable, because it's happened to me,
I don't know, dude.
and I can give that to my characters.
Lost
There's
a lot
always a tiny
credibility
part
with
of you
that
as a
story.
writer who, metaphorically or really, is standing there with a notebook, just taking notes. And it can come out in the worst times. It can come out in the worst moments of your life. You can be there in the hospital, and
What am I
your
drawing?
friend or your loved one is being wheeled away. And you can go, okay, what does this place smell like?
Okay.
How are they behaving?
Smells like
How do I feel right now?
smells
How do
shit.
these people feel right now?
Don't want to be there. I'm tired.
Because one day you're going to be writing fiction, and you will need that moment. You'll need the way that the lights of the cars glint off the broken glass and the blood on the asphalt one day to make a story true. So the action of world building, whether you are building New York or Los Angeles or the Isle of Skye, places that really exist, places you might be familiar with, or whether you are creating a graveyard, whether you're creating an enormous world underneath London, whether you're creating a magical America that doesn't quite exist in a state of heightened reality. The action of world building is always the same. You start
pretty much
with a world,
just gotta
and you're
work
going
on
to fill
the
it with people. And you
proportion,
decide
the
what's important
evenness
about
of.
the world, what's convincing about the world. The
You
worlds
know
that
what?
we build
It's
in
not that
fiction
this is too long.
are soap bubbles. They can pop really easily, but they seem really, really solid.
This is too short.
Anything you can say
You know what I'm saying?
that makes them feel real, that buttresses them, that gives credibility, you then assume that the author could
So
tell
you
you
gotta
everything
think
else.
about this stuff,
It
bro.
goes off
Like,
in all
you can't be
directions, but that
fucking up
one
like this all the
little
time.
moment of reality, that one thing that seems to be absolutely true, gives credence and gives credibility to all of the things that you don't say,
This is
to all of the bits that are really just sort of misty smudges in the background.
alright.
But then somebody looks at them and goes, but I'm sure, like this thing here, all of those misty smudges in the background, if we move in, are actually going to become
Well, I mean, I wasn't
craggy
really planning
mountains,
to
and
draw
each mountain will
this
be different.
correctly. So.
And you know, of course, that they aren't. They're just smudges in the background. But that's okay, because the one mountain that we visited was real, because it was informed by you and a mountain. Or just you and a very big hill and an imagination. One thing that is very important for you to know, but not necessarily important for you to tell, is what the rules are. You need to understand, especially if you're creating anything in the world of the fantastic, what the rules of your world are. The problem with this is that when we arrive in this world, nobody tells us what the rules are.
Right.
Nobody hands you, as a small child, a rule book,
Right.
letting you know how gravity works, how fire works, how basic economics works,
Right.
how people behave, what they're expected to do.
Yeah.
They don't tell you that.
Yeah.
You have to kind of figure it out as you go along.
Yeah.
There are rules. Some of them are explicit, some of them are implicit.
Yeah.
When you're world building,
Yeah.
you need to know what the rules are. You need to
Okay.
know what the explicit rules are, what the implicit rules are.
Okay.
And knowing them, you need to treat them as you would this world. People find things out by making mistakes.
Yeah.
You find out that fire is hot by picking up something that's been in the fire or putting your hand in it and going, ow.
Yeah.
You find out that if you are given a precious thing made of ice, you need to keep it cold, because if you put it in your pocket, very soon you will just have a wet pocket and no precious thing. That's the way that you find out how the rules work
I had no idea.
in this world.
I
It's always by trial, it's always by error.
had no idea.
So, for world building, you allow your characters to discover what the rules of your world are, which you know. And they discover it by making mistakes or by taking advantage of those rules. let things happen to your characters. Let them go out and bump into things. Let them go out and make mistakes. And always know more than you tell.
Bump into things.
You know, there is nothing more frustrating for an author to have people go, I don't really understand the rules of this place. And
It's so frustrating.
because it's fine. Nobody understands the rules of New York either. But they will find out what some of the rules are by making mistakes. And some of the rules by hanging around with people who seem to have figured out what a few of the rules of New York are. And that's okay.
It's a bold statement, Neiman.
Before I started writing the
Demon.
Graveyard book,
Neo
I
Gaiman.
visited a lot
Neiman?
of graveyards.
It's not his name.
The initial inspiration for the Graveyard book had just been a little country graveyard behind a church across the lane from where we lived. I would take my son, who was 2, maybe 2.5, across that little lane with his tricycle, and he would pedal his tricycle on the paths between the gravestones. And I remember looking at him one day and just going, you look so comfortable here. And then thinking, wouldn't it be interesting to do a story
I am comfortable,
about a
Daddy.
kid who
Daddy,
gets lost in a graveyard and brought
I
out by
am
young people?
comfortable.
I thought it would be kind of like the Jungle Book, only it will be in a graveyard. It will be the Graveyard book. And that was the idea. I would have been 25 years old. I remember going straight up to my office and writing the first chapter, looking at what I'd written, going, the idea is so much better than I am a writer. I'm going to put this off. And it wasn't putting it off from the sense of going, I'm going to leave this unfinished. It was a sense of going, okay, my chops are not there yet to do justice to this. So here, I have this thing. I'll probably never look at this first chapter again. But I will come back to this in 5 years, in 10 years, when I'm better, when I'm good enough. And I actually wound up coming into it almost 20 years later, when I really figured that not only was I not getting any better, but I was as good as I was going to get, so I might as well, I had no option. It was now time to write it. But during that period, I would go and visit graveyards. I knew that I would be setting a story in a graveyard, and I knew that I needed things from graveyards, so I needed to go and look at them. So my world building exercise was just visiting graveyards, visiting Stoke Newington graveyard,
This is
Hackney
hard.
Park, which had a glorious sort of ruined chapel
You gotta.
in the middle. And looking at that chapel and going, right, I'm going to have you. You're in my story. Going to Glasgow Necropolis, which is all on a hill just outside of Glasgow, and going, I'm taking your topology.
I mean,
I'm gonna
it's
take the
hard
hill
because
and the fact that you're
you're
outside
thinking, dude.
of the
You gotta
city.
think.
I like that. That feels right. Now I built a world that was a graveyard in my head.
Okay.
I've been playing around with it. I've been building it. I've been seeing what kind of people lived in it. I was figuring out all of
It's like,
the details. And wherever I would go,
I
I would
mean,
just
it
visit the
doesn't
local
even make
graveyard.
sense to begin with, but
And see if there was a little thing that I could take and put into the graveyard that was in my head. Which meant that when, 20 years later, I started writing the Graveyard book, and I knew that the graveyard was my jungle,
Why
had to
did
be
you
big
draw-
enough and interesting enough that I could set basically an entire novel
Well,
in this one
let's try again.
location.
Try again. Let's try again.
That
Don't make excuses. and
it
stuff.
would be that interesting, that I would know, I knew by that point what a graveyard was. I knew why it was there. I knew the history of them.
Mhm.
And that allowed me to make this a real place. So a lot of what you do in world building is you do your homework. You do your research. It's like I was talking about with Neverwhere, getting to go through the tunnels, getting shown around. Go on walks, see things, all of that, and then take notes. Use the voice function on your phone to make little notes to yourself. Use a tiny notebook. I always, wherever I go, whatever I do, have impossible to get out of my pocket tiny notebooks on me. This is one.
I do that too,
And
bro. But I
I
draw.
will always
I have a
jot
drawing
down
notebook.
things, little ideas. I may never go back to them. I may never see them again. But once they're jotted down, they're rotting away usefully on the compost heap of my imagination. And they're there if I need them.
You messed up again. Why do you keep messing up? It's hard
I
to.
think authors you read when you are
Well,
young affect
let's just
you
finish it
on
first.
a level that is very, very primal and very different. So the authors whose work I encountered as a child, who built worlds, really stayed with me. And I would look at what they had done and puzzle over it and think about it a lot. Tolkien, obviously, was a huge influence on me. I've never actually
Read any of his
written
book?
anything in somewhere that resembles Middle Earth, I think. Except
I
a
never
little
read
bit
any of his
in
book, but
Stardust, but Stardust is much more.
oh,
a
it does
fairy
make
tale.
sense. You're fucking okay.
but
You gotta stop
Just a
tripping
feeling
out.
that this was a place that I would recognize if I saw it.
Okay, so lesson
If I
here:
went there,
don't
I
trip
would know
out.
that I was there.
You
The
did it
same
right the
obviously with
first time.
Narnia. And the idea, as C.S. Lewis,
It's like, what is wrong
built
with you, dude?
an entire
Tripping out, man.
country, a kingdom, and I knew that if I were in Narnia, I would know that I was in Narnia. I'd know the people, I'd know the way that everything looked, the way that it felt. Descriptions of huge cliffs, and looking down at the clouds so far below you, they looked like tiny sheep. And you remember this kind of thing. And then there were the writers who would world build in a way that I wasn't so conscious of. As an adult, I look back and I go, whoa, it was a remarkable, fascinating act of world building. But at the time, all I was aware of was the story. An example of that would be P.L. Travers writing the Mary Poppins stories, where I looked at it as just being set in London and didn't actually examine the mechanics of the way that P.L. Travers built her universe, a universe in which you could go to a zoo,
The
a
super
circus
hard,
of the stars
the super annoying.
at night.
Hold on.
A world in which people in spring would appear in the park and paint the trees, paint everything, take it out of its winter clothes and into the summer clothes. A world in which things happened between things, in which the simple presence of Mary Poppins would deform reality and make everything hyper-real, in which Mary Poppins acted as a bridge between the world of pure imagination and the way that things should be, and the world that we lived in, the way that things were. And all of those things, as a kid, affected me hugely,
Dry good.
because each of them felt like a real place. I remember running into Hope Merley's book, Blood in the Mist, a book which absolutely defies the entirety of the show don't tell paradigm by just beginning almost as a travelogue and
Dry
history
good.
of an imaginary country, of Blood in the Mist, the kingdom of Doramere,
You could do
the town
this.
of Blood in the Mist, and then gradually becomes a detective story and a ghost story, a story of generations, a story of one person's struggle to be who they are and to find happiness in an awkward world,
Slightly on the side.
of the struggle, the infinite struggle between fantasy and reality, between fairy, between poetry and the mundane and prosaic life. And all of those things are there in an act of world building and an act of geography and an act of history. So a beautiful book like that. And that stuff influenced me. I would sit there as a small boy drawing maps, influenced, I think, a lot by the maps in Ursula Le Guin's Earthsea series. There's a map in the front of these archipelagos, and I love the shapes of islands. I would sit
I'm gonna draw maps.
magical little archipelagos and
fun,
islands
dude.
and the shapes of cities and worlds.
I want to
And I
start
would
drawing
imagine
maps.
stories.
I already know how to draw this.
And even to
I'm
this
just
day,
tripping
every
out.
now and again,
Just drawing it
I will
worse
nip in
because I'm tripping
and
out.
set a story in one of those places on the maps that I drew.
On the maps that I drew.
I remember Stephen King once said to me that Amy Tan grumbled to him that when writers get interviewed, the one thing they don't ask us about is the words. And the words are the most important things that we have. The words are what we're doing everything with. If you're writing a novel, you're going to have to use 70,000 of them, 100,000, 200,000 of them. So in the next class, we're going to talk about words. We're going to talk about language and all of the things you can do with it. We're going to talk about humor. We're going to talk about world building, all
Humor.
as things that you can do with words.
Humor. DMCA.
I do not hold with anybody who says no exposition, no description. You describe what needs to be described. You explain what needs to be explained. You are God. When you are writing, you are absolutely in charge.
Not bad.
You can do whatever you
It's
like.
good enough.
There are no rules other than tell a great story, tell it as best you can. But there is an enormous pleasure to just telling. And sometimes you can describe places.
Humor.
Let's see.
Humor.
In Neverwhere, what I was doing was describing a world. And the world of London Below was as much of a character as any of the characters in the book. So one of the things that I loved doing was describing places and describing people and trying to make them vivid, trying to make the imagery vivid in your head. I might not actually describe what somebody would look like, but I would paint a picture that would get you as a reader to imagine what they look like.
And
For
humor.
example, fashion in bodyguards seemed to be everything.
And
They all
humor.
had a knack of one kind or another, and each of them was desperate to demonstrate it to the world. At this moment, Ruislip was facing
Alright.
off against the fop with no name. The fop with no name looked somewhat like an early 18th
Alright.
century rake, one who hadn't been able to find real rake clothes and had to make do with what he could
I
find
think
at the Oxfam
I could
shop.
probably draw.
His face was powdered to white, his lips painted red. Ruislip, the fox opponent,
It's not true.
looked like the kind
It's
of
some cocky
dream
shit to say.
one might have if one fell asleep watching sumo wrestling on the television with a Bob Marley record playing in the background.
Humor.
He was a huge Rastafarian who looked like nothing so much as an obese
Humor.
and enormous baby. They were standing face to face in the middle of a cleared circle of spectators and other bodyguards and sightseers.
Spectators.
Neither man moved a muscle. The fop was a good head taller than Ruislip. On the other hand, Ruislip weighed as much as 4 fops, each of them carrying a large leather suitcase entirely filled with lard. They stared at each other without breaking eye contact.
Humor.
It's a way of describing people. On the other hand, this is a description.
Okay. 0 viewers. I think I am done. Today I've learned that I could draw the things that I could not have drawn long ago. But through much practice and self hate, and mostly talking to myself, I have learned to draw the things that I could not have drawn before. I think it's time to start really drawing and stop practicing all the time. Yeah, I gotta start really drawing now, you know. I just practice. That's all I do. Well, I mean, it's because, like, you got problems. Just tell yourself, in my head's just always going, I bet you can't draw this. Yeah? You know how to draw that? Try drawing this. Sometimes I prove myself wrong, right, wrong, mixed together, wrong. I prove myself right, and sometimes I prove myself wrong. And I think I could draw almost anything I could think of now. I don't really have any issue with drawing anything else other than these stuff. Well, I gotta study how pelvis look. I will memorize the pelvis tonight while I eat my fast food. And I mean, do I really need to be studying pelvis? What's the point? It's not like I'm gonna. Like, what's the point? You just gotta know the shape of it. You don't gotta know how it looks. I mean, I kind of do know how it looks, but I don't know why I'm forgetting it right now. I'm like blanking how it. I get the hand. I get how to draw the hand. I mean, the foot's not that hard. I know how to draw heels. I get it now. I know how to draw a heel now. I understand how it looks. Just, remind yourself of the pelvis look. I could draw that angle of the face pretty easily now. I get it. Come on, man. Just get it, man. Just get it. Come on, man. Just get it. You like fish sticks, man. Just get it, man. It's just the hand. I mean, you just gotta. So the width, not the width, is it the width? The goddamn x-axis. 4 fingers could fit in. So you gotta draw the fingers and yeah, I get it. I get it. Right. Alright. Alright. That was a good practice. Starting tomorrow, I will start drawing things. No more practice. For a while. For a while, I'm done with practices. Goodbye, 0 viewers.